And government think tanks propose is poisoning the water to dumb down the population, make it more easily manageable.
Oh dear, the fluoride didn't work on this one. He's fighting back against my takeover. Hurry, chemtrail him immediately.
I've noticed what they attack me with on mainstream news. Jones claims your cell phones are killing you. Jones claims there's chemicals in the water that are lowering your fertility and confusing your sexuality. Jones says there's black helicopters. Jones says there's a world government. Jones says the EU is unelected. It is. On and on and on. And everything we're saying is out in the open.
Kelly Prime's son Kyle was just 10 years old when he was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 2016. 5 months later, Kyle's friend and classmate Mason Ferrulli developed brain cancer. 2 more kids at the school were diagnosed this year. The moms believe the recent increase in cancer cases could be caused by radiation from radio frequency, or RF waves, coming from this cell tower located on the elementary school campus.
So think about how the LA Times and even Wired magazine will admit there are thousands of studies that prove that wireless radiation, as it's intensified in its strength the last 30 years, and how many places it's emanating from, and especially the microwave millimeter waves. Cell phones operate as microwave transmitters and receivers, transceivers. Now, what's a microwave do? It vibrates water, vibrates molecules. And 5G is an even more powerful form of microwave that even rattles it faster. That's what causes the heat, the friction of the molecules, and burns oxygen and carbon dioxide. You heard me right. 5G burns the atmosphere.
Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution in Florida in 2008 as part of a controversial deal. In a civil case against the government about that deal, one accuser says she took part in an orgy on Epstein's private island in 2002 with approximately 8 other young girls who appeared to be under the age of 18. What may have happened here?
Just because some people want to restrict views doesn't mean they have a right to do it. And see, once that happens, now you can shut down the details of Bill Clinton's best buddy and the pedophile island that we've been exposing.
Prison guards working when Epstein apparently died by suicide may have falsified reports to make it look like they were checking in on Epstein when they were in fact not.
I am now more suspicious than ever that this could be a homicide.
People won't listen to me because I got too much data. And you imagine what this is like?
Alex Jones called this years ago. Years ago, he was saying that they take a lot of famous people to this island and they have all these young girls that this guy hooks them up with. He was talking about this years ago. Now it is mainstream news.
You're listening to The David Knight Show.
Welcome back. We're talking to Tom Pappert. He's here in the studio. And, of course, you can find him at National File, F-I-L-E, nationalfile.com, and on Twitter at National File. And we've been talking about the massive Democrat establishment and mainstream media, especially NBC connections, behind HARPA, behind the Susan Wright Foundation. And, this is the layer underneath it. You need to understand where this is coming from, and you need to understand how these people are coming at President Trump. First they put together this organization. That organization goes to Ivanka. She wants to save the little kids. She doesn't understand firearms. She's been to all the elite liberal schools that Chelsea Clinton's been at. They don't understand what guns are about. She is not Donald Trump Jr., but she is coming at President Trump. And, of course, in the past, we've seen Ivanka be able to prod him into falling for these Syrian false flags. So it's a very concerning situation. I want to get into, with Tom here, this story that broke this morning about the European Union fining YouTube. It's not a big fine. It's $170 million. I mean, this is like their budget for sushi or something at the Home Office. This is not a big fine. But what's really going on here is that they are coming after children. Yeah, it's kind of I'll put it this way, child trafficking. And I'll explain why I call it that in just a moment. But before I do, real quickly, I want to tell you about the products that we have at InfoWarsStore.com, because that's what funds this program and everything that we do here. It's what allows us to set up the new website, band.video. where you can see the videos that YouTube doesn't want you to see, the videos that Google doesn't want you to find. Well, you can find them at band.video. And what funds us, of course, are the products we sell at InfoWarsStore.com. And we've got some great specials. DNA Force Plus is a product that I use on a daily basis because I understand how important it is to protect my DNA health. And that is what DNA Force does. It helps to protect your, as you get older, each time these cells divide, the little end caps on it, think about it as a kind of a shoelace. Those telomeres, they start to get smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter as the cells divide. Well, this helps to slow down that process. You can actually you can look at the DNA cells and you can predict how long somebody is going to live a natural life by looking at the length of those telomeres, those little end caps on the end of the DNA. Because once that's gone, your DNA is going to be unprotected like a shoelace without that end cap, and it's going to unravel like that shoelace, and it's going to manifest itself in a wide variety of different ailments, that type of thing. So you can very effectively predict somebody's life expectancy. A great product, but it is an expensive product to produce. And we now have that at 50% off, plus you get a free bottle of Carnivore. This is the big bottle of Carnivore as well, the 90 count. You get that for free, as well as DNA Force Plus for 50% off. We also have Super Male Vitality on sale at 25% off, along with a free bottle of Carnivore. Take a look at those specials, and while you're there at InfoWarsStore.com, don't forget to try our new skin cream. We've got a new skin cream with Nano Silver. It is a great product. Family members use it. I talked about using it over the weekend. I had to change a tire, got a lot of ant bites on my hand, and it really did help with the open bites and the itching and so forth. It's a great product. If you try it, I know you're going to love it. It's going to be one of those things like our Super Silver toothpaste, my favorite toothpaste I've ever used. But right now we got a new product, Super Silver Skin Cream.
That's right. And speaking of silver, I have to give a plug too, because I've been flying since last Friday. Flew out east for a partner meeting. I had to fly back to Wichita, spent 14 hours in an airport because we had some flight delays and cancellations. Then I was back in the air yesterday morning to come down to Austin, and the only reason why I'm not hacking up phlegm and sick is because of this Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. And they're not paying me to say this, folks. This stuff works. I've had the store brand stuff before. If you look at the back, you can see it's not as good as what Infowars is selling. And it's delicious, David. I didn't know that it had such a great taste to it until I bought it here recently.
Well, we were talking during the break, and I said, when he showed that to me, I said, yeah, before we had that, I would even travel with the silver bullet.
Right.
Because, to have that silver when you're traveling, you're exposed to a lot of different viruses. Your body is your immune system is taken down a little bit because you're off your schedule, you're not eating as well, you're not resting as well. And so anything like that, just like the toothpaste, it fights bacteria as well as viruses. It's a great thing to have. It really is.
It really, I don't know if I would be here right now without it. And by the way, this did not come from the desk. This did not come from the back room. This came from my pocket, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, absolutely, I agree as well. Let's talk a little bit about Google and YouTube. As they're bragging about their censorship and everything, one of the things that they are not too concerned about is your kids. I said, is this kind of like child trafficking? When you look at, you've got hidden web pages that feed personal data that they capture from your children. They use that to sell that to advertisers, to track children. It's a child trafficking thing. They monetize your children. When the service is free, as we all know, you are the product. George Gilder has talked about that. He said it's this whole data model of big data, Tom. He said, it's predicated on the idea that they're going to put everything out there for free because you are the product. Your kids are the product. Are you guys okay with that? You guys okay with your kids being monetized by YouTube, selling that information? Because they're putting them in a just like we're talking about Facebook being LifeLog,
right?
DARPA's LifeLog. Well, Google's got that as well, and so they're going to track your kids lifelong. They're going to be able to know everything about what your kids like, their orientation. This is part of the geospatial intelligence, activity-based intelligence, human domain analytics, anticipatory intelligence. You're going to be able to anticipate what your kids are going to do. First of all, so they can sell them stuff. But then they're also going to turn this information over to the government eventually.
That's exactly right. And this is really a shocking thing. Kids who are 18 today were born in 2001. YouTube is already a thing a couple years later. So the kids who are growing up right now, they will have had their entire life, every video they've watched, every topic they've explored, if it's the Alex Jones Show, if it's Real News with David Knight, if it's the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, there is now a database out there that has everything that kid has ever looked at in their life. And as you said, it's being sold. This is as YouTube is coming under fire for essential pedophilia, where you've got pedophiles using comment sections to mark, oh, that little girl looks really good at this timestamp. Let's look at it there. These people obviously do not care about children. They have no interest. These are all just data points for them. And what's fascinating, David, you mentioned that a $170 million fine, which is nothing to YouTube. Well, from my understanding, YouTube has never made money in its existence before or after Google acquired it, because it's video hosting, it's very expensive, anybody can do it, it's not an easy thing to do. So it's probably a loss leader for Google. So this is just more into the red for them. I think it's an utterly pathetic display. I guess the EU is at least trying to say that they care about children, but when it comes down to it, it's just more... It's a little bit further into the red. Who cares?
Well, I mean, they've operated for years in the red, but these corporations that can get public funding off of Wall Street,
right?
That's really how they operate. I mean, like I said earlier in the broadcast, I had to compete against a major retail chain, and they had the ability essentially to print money by selling stock, and so that's a big part of what Google and even Amazon that operated for years in the red. Now they're operating positively. And, when you look at the commercials that are served on YouTube, it's sometimes they'll put 3 or 4 commercials on a short video that is only about 2 or 3 minutes long, I've noticed. I mean, they are really ramping that up.
Absolutely. And of course, there's the big fear that these advertisers will pull out, never mind the fact that it would create a better experience. But again, and think of exactly what's being marketed to children. You can now have corporations that want to manipulate the minds of young people, get directly to the people that they want to through a video platform that frankly does not care what it advertises. I remember a few months ago we had an article that all of these big companies, by the way, and you'll respect this since you were just punished for being an info warrior here recently, but all of these big companies, it was a Walmart executive particularly who went on, told somebody who then became the source that they don't care about any of this content. They just want to make money. But they're going to pretend to do this adpocalypse thing, and they're going to pretend to be terrified and afraid, but really, they're going to do it to get better ad rates, and they're going to all come back, and they're going to continue selling whatever gadget, perhaps a condom, to your small child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you look at the way that Walmart has flipped, I remember pointed out yesterday that it was the Obama administration, Eric Holder, that was trying to get them to come to the White House so they could lecture them about how they needed to do gun control. Now they're doing it, stop selling guns, and now they are lobbying President Trump to do more gun control. And you see the same thing a few years ago, I think it was about 6 years ago, you had Moms Demand Action. We're pushing Kroger, say shut down anybody coming in with open carry. Now, not only is Kroger doing that, but now Kroger is becoming a lobbyist. We saw that happen with Dick's Sporting Goods. These companies, it's gotten to the point where there's so much money and power in Washington, they realize that they have to go along with the political consensus there if they even want to do business. That's part of the corruption that's happening here, and that's why they're taking away our freedom. Thank you so much, Tom Pappert. Again, you can find him at nationalfile.com. And you'll find him on Twitter as well, same handle. Thank you so much, Tom.
Super.
I'll take care of you now instead of later.
If you took your 6-month-old baby and dropped it on its head on purpose, you would lose that child if you were seen doing it. And you should. If you're wondering why it's like a zombie apocalypse out there, and why there's mental illness everywhere, and why people seem so incredibly stupid, it's because the Soviets, the communists, the proto-globalists that took over had work camps, and they put hydrofluorosilicic acid in the water and lots of other stuff to test it on the people in the gulags. I went to HEB this morning, the crew did, walked right in, it says HEB baby fluoride water. Let's zoom right in on that. And notice it shows you the target. It's kind of like buying a box of 30-06 rifle shells, rifle rounds, and on the cover's a deer. And there's a little crosshair on the side of the deer. maximum firepower. Oh, baby, it's time to kill brain cells. So much more fun to take our time. And then it's bye-bye brain, and you've got a good automaton.
Infowars, tomorrow's news.